how does it feel to have your show here in LALIFF for a red carpet premiere?
It feels phenomenal. Anytime I get to come out to LA, I love it. I love the city. I love the people. I love the festival. It's really humbling and also just really exciting.
Tell us a little bit about your character and the process filming this, especially with such a diversity cast with a lot of Latinos in it.
Yeah, well, the Latino part was actually one of the coolest parts because there's already a natural comfort, right, that just intrinsically feels good and feels grounding, and so that was awesome. My character is Mondo. He's sort of the earthy, hippie, the universe will take care of all things kind of guy, and I loved it was interesting because we got to do a lot of different takes on set, so we were doing a lot of playing and a lot of character development, and so I felt like I didn't really get to meet Mondo until I saw him on the screen with all of you and that phenomenal editing had taken place, and so it was really, really cool. I loved the process of creating, and then I also got a glimpse of what it feels like to meet Mondo as an audience member as well.
And did you learn anything about yourself with this character?
I learned how I'm perceived. So one of the questions we frequently get is which uncle do we personally vibe with, and so I love Mondo, and I would love to hang out with Mondo at any point, but I've never really felt that I'm personally Mondo, right? Like, I mean, I've spent so much time going to university and graduate school and learning grammar in multiple languages, and not being homeless, working really hard to not be homeless. But, you know, like, and it's also cool when people say that they see pieces of me in Mondo, because I think it's not so literal when people give you that compliment, right? And so I'm learning to accept compliments. I'm learning to, like, just really go with the flow and enjoy the ride.
And last question, what does representation mean to you, especially having this event every year and being a part of it?
It's phenomenal to be a part of any endeavor that is trying to get more representation out there, because I think it's easy to sometimes think that we've come so far so we can rest a little bit, but there's no rest. We have to keep struggling, we have to keep working, we have to keep challenging the status quo, which is unfortunately right now is not enough representation. But it's good to see that we're coming along and we're going farther, and that we have organizations like this that are working so hard as a collective to move all of us forward.
Please tell us a little bit about your character and the show Primo. How exciting has it been filming this and getting it out there?
Oh God, it's been so exciting. My character's name is Uncle Jay. It's really just Jay, but everybody's gotten to calling him Uncle Jay, and he's the oldest brother. He's sort of the patriarch of the family since there is no father in the picture. He has his own family, a wife and 2 kids, which you'll see in the show. And yeah, he's nothing but love. Jay's nothing but love.
So why the name Primo? Why do you think they named this show that?
I think that's a question for Shay. It turns out to be a nickname that all of the uncles call each other, and then they end up calling Rafa the same thing. So it's like a term of endearment.
And why do you think it's important that we continue to push shows with so much diversity in it, especially like by the creators as well?
Well, specifically for Primo, I think one of the great things is that we get to see a family first, and the fact that they're Latino is great, but it's secondary. We get to see Latinos humanized in a way that I think that I haven't seen before, and it's something that everyone can identify with. We have neighbors who came over and did a watch party with us, and they're Armenian from Syria, and they said that could be our family. And I've had different races and different ethnicities, different sexes. Everybody can identify with something in the show, which is what's so beautiful about it. And I think why it's going to appeal to such a wide audience, and already has.
And what do you really want people to take away from this show?
A good time, laughter, family, a connection with each other, an ability to find something in yourself in the show to be able to identify, because I think that's what's missing. So much of today is about comparison, and this show is about identification, which is, I think, going to bring a lot of people together.
So how excited are you to be here today?
Super. I mean, I've never gotten to be a part of LALIFF before, so.
Tell us a little bit about your character and the show.
Mike is ex-military. He's the only one in the family that left, and like left, and Antonio tried to become a disciplined person, and then comes back and tries to exercise that discipline, and it doesn't work, and just creates more chaos.
So why do you think it's important for us to continue to see shows like this that are representing Latinos in front of the camera and behind the camera?
I think it's just important for us to see representation, see ourselves on screen. I think the fact that this happens to be, it's a show that doesn't comment on being a Latino show at all. Like the only like Latino comment, like we make Mexican food. That's as far as it goes. Besides that, this could be any family, and I think that's really important. That it's a family that happens to be Mexican, and it doesn't have to be other.
Did you guys encounter any challenges throughout the filming, or did you learn anything about yourself that you've never known before?
I'm really good in 110-degree weather.
We've all been.
What about working with like one of the only Latinas in the show? How was that?
Christina's incredible. It was such a pleasure. Christina is, I had never met Christina before. I had a crush on her when I was like 10. I'd seen her in Brink. I had to get that out of the way pretty early and let her know. And then it was just a pleasure. Me and Christina, I think all of us became very close really quickly, and she's like a real sister. I love her to death.
So this show came out in March of this year, right?
Out in March, on March 19th, yes.
How does it feel to have your show here for such an amazing event like LALIFF at a red carpet event?
I mean, great timing, right? Great timing, because it keeps it moving, and it keeps like people like engaged with it. And you know, I've been around. I've been coming to LALIFF for a while, so I think it's just really cool. Anytime you have a project that feels special, also get kind of promoted or just loved on by the LALIFF community.
So I think the show is very interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but the name Primo, after watching the trailer, I felt like a lot of us Latinos can connect to like the big family dynamic with like a bunch of primos that sometimes are your uncles, and then you have the one female in this show. How does it feel working with everybody, and like tell us a little bit about what we should expect in the show?
So the show is exactly, you said it so well. I feel like we just need to play that back because that was so good. That was a good assessment. No, I think it's family-wise, it's obviously something that we could all relate to, Latino or otherwise. For me personally, it was the opposite. I had like two older sisters and I had my mom, so it was more like sisters playing older roles and stuff like that. But I think the show is just it's a lovely combination of just idiocy, heart, and just goofiness, which is, I think, a great combination. The uncles are wild, they're dumb. When you get a chance to see them, you'll see that we're all a bunch of idiots, but we do really care about Primo.
And what do you want people to take away from your character exactly?
That he should always come back to the second season. No, that he's just the youngest brother, so he can be a little annoying sometimes, but it comes from a very insecure place. Stick with him. Give Uncle Ryan a chance. I have a soft spot for him. He'll grow. He'll mature. I'm sure he'll understand. But he's the youngest. He just doesn't feel validated. He's in competition with Primo sometimes. It is what it is. So what's your sibling situation?
My sibling?
Yeah, your sibling situation.
Oh, I'm the youngest of four, so.
So you know. I mean, what are we talking about?
I know how it is to have a big Latino family, so that's why I'm saying it's so interesting that they have a show dedicated to showcasing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for me, I kind of struggled. That character also the youngest, so it works out. I don't have to do a lot of acting, except for the annoying part. I'm not as annoying as Uncle Ryan. I'm not as like aggressive. You'll see. You haven't seen it, but when you see it, you'll see what I mean.
And last question: what does representation mean to you?
It means all the things that we're trying to fight for. Yeah, representation is good. I feel like we're making strides every time. We are in a better place than we were 5 years ago and the 10 years previously, and so it's a slow climb, but I see the progress. I've been doing this for a minute, so I see the progress, and that's all that we can count for. Is just to keep putting stuff out and just kind of let things gonna grow organically.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm excited to watch it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. It's a beautiful day when you get to be out here telling stories, hanging out with these kids that are creating some beautiful stuff that I got to be a part of, and also representing Primo.
So how has the process been like filming Primo, putting it together, and now being at a red carpet for it?
All I can describe it as beautiful. It's like honestly just like a beautiful moment. From the time of us shooting the 3 months in Albuquerque to all of us bonding with each other, getting closer, to working on set with some of the most generous and talented actors I've ever worked with, to an amazing writing team with Shay, Mike, Lisa, Peter, all that staff on that show, just like incredible and so giving and so gracious, made my job easier, honestly. And so it was just really cool to be able to take Shay's story and see what this is now. This whole thing is what this is. It's just crazy. I wish he was here, honestly. I wish he was here.
So Primo, you as a Primo, what can you tell us about your character?
So Rolly is the middle child, middle brother of the family. He's the one that kind of gets into some trouble, kind of a travieso, if you want to say, at times. He's quick to throw a fist, get into a fight, but he always has a good reason. And I think that's why I really love Rolly, is that even though he will get into arguments sometimes or fights and stuff like that, he's the one brother that is really just focused about family. He cares so much about Primo. He doesn't want him to make a decision either way. As long as he's happy, that's all he cares about. Whatever he decides to do, whether it's irrigation or college or whatever it is, he's the neutral brother. And I think at the end of the day, I think people will see that in moments where he's talking to Rafa and he's imparting wisdom into him, and he's telling him, giving him advice based on the experiences he had. And I think that's why I really love Rolly.
And how do you think people might identify with this show while watching it?
I always say, if you have a family, this show's for you, because whether you're Latino or not, it doesn't really matter. We all have a family, and we also all sometimes have crazy families and crazy dynamics. And I think that's what this show does so well, is people identify with little different things. They're like, oh, I remember when my uncle was giving me unsolicited advice about college, or I was a kid trying to figure out who I was. So I think there's a lot of different ways that people can connect to it, and I think that's why the show is doing so well right now.
And how important do you think it is to continue to see Latinos in front of the camera and behind the camera?
It's everything. It's everything. I mean, we make up a huge part of this nation right now, and unfortunately, we make up a very small percentage of what shows up on screen, and that's what we're working on changing. Primo's obviously moving that needle a little bit forward, but we still have a long way to go. It's going to take time, but I'm happy to see that finally there is a lot more recognition happening in Hollywood, and I hope that this is me sort of paving the way for hundreds of other people behind me to come do the same thing.
I'm a big fan. You're my new favorite Marvel character.
Oh my God, that's pretty big. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So how does it feel to be at such an event like LALIFF?
It feels amazing. Also, especially because this is my third year going, and each time I recognize and know more people, and so it's like more exciting each time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder who's gonna be there. Oh, Carlos. Oh, Annie. I know that they're here. It's like that kind of thing.
And tell us about your journey with acting.
Oh, my journey with acting. I mean, I've always been surrounded by it. I started when I was 5. I did musical theater, and I grew a lot of my confidence there. And then at 10, I did on-camera stuff, and then slowly I did a bunch of student films, and then all that, and then we got Marvel somehow.
And why do you think it's so important to continue to have diversity and representation in films and shows and movies?
Well, I think it's very important to know that every story matters, that your story matters, and I mean, each and every single way we can do that. I think that's the most important thing, and I've already seen such a huge difference, and especially with film festivals like this, it only gets better and better. So
awesome! Thank you. It was great meeting you.